بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. We start today by mentioning something very important, that hundreds of years before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent out as a messenger, many people know about that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept traces of his coming in many books that lots of people know about. So today we're going to travel with the Sirah of Ibn Hisham. This is one of the most summarized biography of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It starts with a dream that a king of Yemen saw many years ago. We do not know the exact date, but we know this is way even before Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, the son of Mary. His name is Rabi'ah ibn Nasr, and Rabi'ah ibn Nasr was a king of the people of Tubba, and he was a famous king, prominent, rich. You know, these kings back in the day, they had everybody serve them and they had everything handed over to them. They were smart. So he kept seeing a dream. He just kept seeing it. This dream kept bothering him, something that he could not just forget about. Every morning he wakes up and he's bothered by this dream, so he decided, I need someone to explain this dream to me. So he called all his fortune tellers and priests or whatever they had, like wise people, trying to get this information from them. So these wise people said, okay, tell us your dream so we can tell you the explanation. He says, wait a minute, if you have so much wisdom, if you have so much knowledge, you are supposed to tell me what my dream is. We agreed in this masjid many times that the only one that knows al-ghaib is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody knows the unseen except Allah. And this man is asking them to tell him what's in his head. So basically he was challenging them to tell them, if you are smart enough, if you are very well versed and well read and you have all this information, you're supposed to know something that the common person doesn't. And they said, sorry, we cannot read your mind. But they referred him to two wise people. It was said that they don't live in the city, they are secluded somewhere in a mountain or in a temple. They're worshiping, they're reading, they're meditating, and they told him, go to, you should invite two people. One is named s.a.w and the other one is named Shiq. He says, we do not know anybody more knowledgeable than s.a.w and Shiq. So he sent out to them, and they brought Shiq first, and they told him, the king wants to talk to you. So he walks up to the king. And of course, the king's court is full of servants and slaves and decoration, everybody bowing, and this man facing the king, and the king looks at him in the eye and tells him, I see a dream that bothers me a lot. I want you to tell me what that dream is. So Sheikh started thinking. The king all of a sudden mentions, if you tell me the dream itself, then I will trust you in the interpretation of the dream. Whatever comes out of your mouth afterwards will be the truth to the court of the king. Sheikh looked at his king and says, Your Majesty, what you see in the dream, رأيت حمامة خرجت من ظلمة فوقعت بأرض تهمة فأكلت منها كل ذي جمجمة. What you see is a type of fire, like hot, maybe molten rock, something very hot that comes out of the darkness, out of nowhere, and it lands on the land of Tuhama, and it lands there, and it burns and eats everything, every living creature. Nothing survives this fire. The king was struck. He says, my gosh, you described it meticulously. You didn't miss a single detail. Shatih says, that's what you saw, Your Majesty. The king, he says, How do you explain this dream? how do you interpret this dream? He says, أحلف ما بين الحرتين من حنش لتهبطن أرضكم الحبش فلا يملكن ما بين بين وجرش. King is trying to understand that this guy is swearing by Al-Harratayn min Hanash that the Abyssinians, the East Africans, will invade your land, Yemen, and they will rule over what's between Abyan and Josh. The two, actually Abyan still exists nowadays. He was very scared because the Eastern Africans were very powerful at that time. They had one of the greatest civilizations in Africa, and nobody could stand up to them in battle. So the king was struck by fear, and he says, when is this gonna happen? Is it gonna happen during my time? Please tell me when. I need to know so I prepare. قال الشطير No. It's gonna happen maybe in 60 or 70 years. يمضين من السنين. And then he says, أفيدوم ذلك من ملكهم من قطع. Is their kingdom, is the rule over Arabia is going to be forever? Or it's going to be cut off by some events. Now Shatih is speaking about a future that has not happened yet. He's speaking about 60 to 70 years later. My question is, where did he get this information from? Allahu A'lam. Whatever scripture was he reading, whatever traces of these events, as we will see that most of you memorize in the Quran, I will reveal it to you, insha'Allah ta'ala. He says, no, the rule of the Abyssinians in Arabia will be stopped. He said, stopped? By whom? He says, the day their rule will stop, they will be killed and they will be chased out of Arabia and they will run away. He says, and who will replace them when they leave? He says, يَلِيهِ إِرَمَ بْنِ ذِي يَزَنٍ. The name Ibn Dhi Yazan is very famous in the Arabic heritage. يَخْرُجُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ عَدَنٍ. He will rise from the city of Aden. فَلَا يَتْرُكُ أَحَدَهُمْ في اليمن. He will not leave one of them in Yemen. He says, and his kingdom will be forever or will be stopped by someone. He told him, بل ينقطع. It will be stopped. And who will stop the kingdom of this great king of Yemen? Listen carefully. He says, يقطعه نبي زكي. Which Nabi we're talking about? Which Nabi we're talking about in Arabia? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. قال يقطعه نبي زكي يأتيه الوحي من العلي. He received the revelation from whom? Al-Ali. Allah, one of his names, Al-Ali. قال وممن هذا النبي? Which lineage, which bloodline this Nabi will be from this prophet? قال رجل من ولد غالب ابن فهر ابن مالك ابن النضر. So he's describing the forefathers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then he added يكون الملك في قومه إلى آخر الدهر. That the kingdom, the rule will be in his people until the end of time. That will rule over Arabia and elsewhere. And he says, excuse me, wait a minute. وهل للدهر آخر? He says, is time going to end? And this is a question people ask nowadays. They say that we will just live forever and not will live forever. That people will live on this planet forever until the sun runs out of energy or some supernova happens or whatever. But this man, he says, he didn't believe that. He believed that people will just live forever. He says, time has an end? قال نعم. يوم يجمع فيه الأولون والآخرون. He says the day that Allah will gather the early generation, the first generation, and the later generations. يسعد فيه المحسنون وَيَشْقَى فِيهِ الْمُسِيئُونَ. Those who have done ihsan, which is good deeds, being great people, they will joy that day when Allah gathers all humanity. And those who are doing sayyi'at, hasan and sayyi'at, the opposites, those doing sayyi'at, they will be miserable and they will suffer. He says, is this true what you're telling me? قَالَ نَعَمْ. Look at this man back in Yemen, hundreds and hundreds of years before the birth of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Listen, ya Muslim, to what he's saying. He says, نعم والشفق والغسق والفلق إذا اتسق ما أنبأتك لحق. He used terminology that we have in the Quran nowadays. And this is hundreds of years before the Quran. He swore by the break of dawn and the sunset. He swears by the, natural phenomena that what I'm telling you is the truth. And then, how many wise men he was supposed to meet? Two, right? Shiq and Satih, right? So he met with Satih and now he went to Shiq and he told him, Shiq, now it's your turn. So he comes to him, he says, I see a dream. Because he wanted two opinions, so to confirm what he has to say. And then Shiq will tell him the same thing, but he has different wordings at the end, as we will see. Listen and take heed and look what Shiq is saying. He told him, I see the same fire, I see everything that will burn any living creature is going to come down. And he says, what are these? He says the same things that the other wise man says. قال له الملك. Are the Abyssinians going to rule here forever? He told him, no. Another king is going to come and his name is the Yazan, and he's going to stop them. And he's going to rule forever. Or no, he says, no, he's going to be cut. He's going to be cut by whom? قال بل ينقطع برسول مرسل. He will be stopped by a messenger sent by Allah. يأتيه الحق والعدل. To him comes the truth and justice. بين أهل الدين والفصل. Is the best to receive this attributes amongst the people of religion and justice or rule. يكون الملك في قومه إلى يوم الفصل. Rulership will be amongst his people until the day of judgment. قال وما يوم الفصل. What is يوم الفصل? Allah calls يوم القيامة يوم الفصل, for example, is the day that distinguishes between the good and the bad, those of people of Jannah, people of Jahannam, because there is no in between. He told him, قال وما يوم الفصل. قال يوم تجزى فيه الولاة ويدعى فيه من في السماوات بدعوات يسمع منها الأحياء والأموات ويجمع فيه بين الناس للميقات يكون فيه لمن اتقى الفوز والخيرات. Unbelievable, beautiful Arabic style in putting words together. He says the Yawm al-Fasl is the day that everybody will be gathered and people will be and the news will reach the heavens and the earth. Even the dead people will be able to hear what's going on. The day that the dead will rise from the earth, and those who have taqwa, fear of Allah and dutifulness towards Allah, they will be very happy and they will achieve a lot of goodness. قال أحق ما تقول. Is it true what you say? قال أي ورب السماء والأرض. So these two wise men, they knew Allah. They knew رب السماء والأرض, the Lord of the heavens and the earth. وما بينهما من رفع وخفض إنما أنبأتك به الحق ما فيه فمض or أمض. You see how far back the story of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ starts? It starts hundreds of years before anybody knew about him, before he was born by hundreds of years. But he was mentioned in these traditions. La ilaha illallah. Another sign, another story of this Prophet Muhammad ﷺ being sent out to humanity. But this time, during the time of another king of Yemen. This king of Yemen, his name is Tuban As'ad. He sent a caravan or delegation to North Arabia. Somehow his son got into a conflict in Medina, and they fought some people, and his son got killed. The soldiers and the bodyguards came back running to the king. Oh, great king, your son was killed, your son was killed. He was so angry. He says, I'm going to send an army up to Medina and let them kill everybody in Medina. I want to destroy that city as a revenge for them killing my son. And so they did. And they went all the way to Medina, and they sieged Medina. The people of Medina fighting them all day, protecting their city. But in Medina at that time, nobody knew anything about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was hundreds of years before he was born. But in Medina, there was a Jewish community living in Medina. And the king will fight the Madani people during the day. And guess what happens during the night? When it's Maghrib time, it's sunset, they cannot fight at night. Each group, they go to their camps. So the Medina people go to Medina, the attackers from Yemen, the followers of Tabban As'ad, they go to their camp, but something strange happens. The Medina people are so generous, they take food to their enemies and feed them. Hey, yeah, it was nice fighting you. I brought you some dinner. Oh, thank you, that was nice of you. Delicious. I'll see you tomorrow at the battlefield. I hope I kill you. See how much generosity the people of Medina had? They still have it until today. I had a friend from Medina, he told me they actually fight amongst themselves who's going to serve the people who are going for Hajj or Umrah during the month of Ramadan, giving them like dates. Just common people. Some of them are not even rich. They love to be generous, the Medina people. Imagine they fed their enemies. They fed their enemies. Now when they were fighting their enemies, the battle is happening. It does not take one day or two. It takes sometimes weeks. But the two rabbis of the Jewish community, they were scholars. And they were very, very well versed in their Torah. And they went to see the king. They say, we here in peace. We just want to talk to your majesty. And because they dressed like rabbis, they were not fighters or anything. He sat down to talk to him. فَقَالَ لَهُ أَيُّهَا الْمَلِكُ Oh, king, لَا تَفْعَلْ Don't do it. What? Do not destroy this city. Because we are concerned that Allah might destroy you and destroy your army. So what do you mean Allah destroying me? Why? They told him, هي مهاجر نبي يخرج من هذا الحرم من قريش في آخر الزمن تكون داره وقراره. They told him, this Medina is the place of migration where a prophet will rise from there, from that haram, from Al-Kaaba, from around Al-Kaaba, is going to come to this city in the end of time. It will be his place of settlement and where he's going to stay. So please, do not destroy Medina because Allah will destroy you. The king believed them. And he turned around. And he took some of them to teach them about their religion. And that's how Judaism entered Yemen. And if you Google Yemeni Jews nowadays, they still live in Yemen, even under the war and siege, even in wartime. And they call them the Yemenites, old Jewish community in Yemen. And that's how they enter. You see how all these events are happening. And all these wise and scholars and people know about the coming of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now Ismail is one of the forefathers of Nabina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one day our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that I look a lot like Ibrahim alayhi salam. I look a lot like him. So Jurhum runs Mecca. It started as a little community with some tents, a well of water, but wait a minute, you're in the middle of the desert and you have a well you call your own. So anybody who travels through the desert knows that there is a well called Zamzam in the valley of Mecca. That's the place to stop and take a break and give the animals to drink so that the caravans can relax. And people start doing business, and the city of Mecca started growing and growing. It became a business center, and people becoming wealthy in there. And of course, He has the Kaaba that Ibrahim alayhi salam built on the same foundation of the Adam alayhi salam built before. So this rich city was not only a center of business, but it was also a religious center for all the pilgrims coming from all over the world. As when Ibrahim built it and Allah told him, call the adhan to call people for Hajj, he says, Ya Allah, it's my voice. How are people going to hear me? He says, your job is to call the adhan. I will deliver the message. And Allah put the message out for all believers around the world to come to Hajj, as like we do, just like we do today. The tribe of Jurhum runs Mecca. They're the masters. They're the owners. And they run the show. And everybody wanted to do business with them because they were the nobility of Arabia. And then another tribe shows up. And that tribe is the tribe of Khuza'ah. Khuza'ah, they brought themselves and they sat outside of Mecca and everything is fine and nice. They do business, they get some of the water. But powers started to shift. And somehow Khuza'ah became more powerful. And now they want the honor of serving the house of Allah. They want the leadership to control Mecca and business and tariffs and taxes and religion and everything. But still at that time, everybody in Arabia believed in one God, Allah. As they referred to him, Allah. There was no idol worshipping. There was no paganism. There was nothing. There was the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Yeah, they believed in Allah. They go do Hajj and everything. We do not have the details of their acts of worship, not relevant to our lecture, but they believed in the one God. Until Khuza'ah overpowered them. And they started fighting. They were no longer good neighbors. Khuza'ah wants more control of Mecca. They want more share of the water of Zamzam. They want more and more and more. And they started fighting until they won. And Khuza'ah marching into Mecca. They're going to chase everybody away. And Jurhum says, we are not going to leave Mecca just like that. We're going to destroy the well, so that they don't find the water. And Jurhum, before they gave up power, they buried Zamzam. So Zamzam was nowhere to be located. They put statues, whatever, rocks, whatever around it, and boom, and when they left outside of Mecca, and and Khuza'ah came in, no Zamzam. So Khuza'ah, they said for almost 300 to 400 years, they were bringing water from outside. They go outside of Mecca. They look for water, bring it in so they can drink. So water became a very expensive commodity for them. And Jurhum never told where the well was until generation after generation started to die out and that information was lost. One day, a boy is born, his name is Amr, to a tribal leader called Luhay, Amr ibn Luhay, and he grew up as nobility, and he grew up as a powerful man, and he was super rich, to the point that he used to host the pilgrims by himself. Alone. Give them food here, give them drink here, and he used to buy water from outside, give them meat, he's so generous, he's so rich. And he became so famous that all the Arabs of Mecca and around Mecca, when he said something, he became like Sharia to them. He became like a law for them. Everybody followed this guy, Amr ibn Luhay. And Amr ibn Luhay was happy in that leadership position. But when we come back, we will see what Amr ibn Luhay did and what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did. Amr ibn Luhay was the man that changed the course of the Arab faith before Islam from monotheism to idol worshipping. Until next time, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you safe and healthy. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.